Well, Mr. and Mrs. Bagchi, thank you so much for joining us here on CNBC-TV18. I'll come to you, ma'am, first. Today, we are all gathered here because you have made a generous donation, rather, to Ahmedabad University. I would come to you to ask you what it is all about and what prompted this in the first place.
So during COVID-19, when there was a lockdown, both of us would talk about what we want to do with our lives, and in future, what is it that we want to do. And both of us decided that most of our resources, personal resources that we have, has to be used in our lifetime, and that will go towards health care. So we started with cancer and palliative care, blindness and mental health. But then we thought that COVID-19, people are not aware of, people were taken unawares about such an epidemic, the possibility of such an epidemic. So it is important that they should know about these kind of things. So we made a little, we studied different universities, what is being done in India, and we thought that we will talk to Ahmedabad University. Let me tell you, they never came to us. We went to them. So we first spoke with Vice Chancellor Dr. Pankaj Chandra, and very quickly it was decided. And maybe Subroto, you would like to tell how we went after that?
Yeah. And I would want you to shed light on what is it that we are doing, what is it that you are planning to do with the Bagchi School of Public Health, and how did Ahmedabad University come to your mind?
Well, so first of all, we see our role as catalysts. We don't see our role as doers. As Susmita was saying, we feel that the wealth that has come to our hand, we are custodians. So our job is to connect that to people who have the capability, the competence, the ability to scale it, and who have governance. So public health became a big thing on our mind, Susmita's and my mind, because we felt that that is a missing link. We are spending huge amounts of money and huge amount of thought is going into building building hospitals and building health delivery systems, but you need to also build discourse on public health as a subject by itself, and there was a big vacuum there. So we said, where do we go? So we have been associated with many different educational institutions, but we felt that here is one which is not too big and not too small, but an organization that has deep interdisciplinary capability and has got a research mindset and got an eye on global excellence. So when we combine all these things, then we said Ahmedabad University would be a good place to actually nest it. And Ahmedabad as a city itself has a track record of building great national and global institutions. So there is something like, in English we talk about a sacred space. We felt that Ahmedabad University would be a sacred space to build something like this.
Ma'am, my question to you is that there is a vacuum in the space of medical research in India right now, and that's where you are intending to invest. What are the projects in the pipeline? You've already invested in a cancer institute. What is it that you think should be done from here?
So let me just tell you that when we started the cancer hospital or the palliative care institute, along with that, there is a research part. So it is not just a hospital, there is a bigger part where there is research going to happen. Same with the palliative care. So going forward, we want that people should know, people should be aware of what is happening and why certain things are happening. And more than the cure, it is one has to go to the root cause of the reason why it is happening. So maybe we want to put in some effort there.
And also, I just want to add to what Susmita said. We have been very fortunate last 18 months. There have been a slew of engagements, small and very large ones. The small ones are mostly to do with blindness and public health in tiny underserved places in Odisha. But the big projects have been like, she was saying and you were saying, was the large 750-bedded cancer hospital in Bhubaneswar with Sri Shankara Cancer Foundation. The second was the Karunashaya Bagchi Palliative Care Center, which is probably going to be the largest palliative care center in the country. So these two are in Bhubaneswar. But the other very significant one that will be open middle of next year is the Indian Institute of Science-led Bagchi Parthasarathi Hospital, which will basically build what we call the physician scientists. So given those three big projects, okay, and this one, I think this one meaning the Bagchi School of Public Health, hands will be full for the next 18 months.
So my question to you, next question to you, is more of an industry perspective. You have been a corporate yourself. What is it? We have seen increase in CSR. The President of India has also called for the corporates to invest more in education, but that is mostly in the primary education and the amenities that they need. Do you think that this research part, the part in university is still lacking, even though we are seeing a lot of corporates invest and get into the university businesses themselves with their foundation? Where do you think the loophole still exists?
I think we need to bring education and research close together. And I think it needs to be done by the participation of everybody, not just the government, not just the corporate sector, not just the universities as standalone. They need to come together. They need to speak the language of collaboration. What is the missing link in India is, if you go to US today, it is leading edge of research and development because a lot of people come together to engage in giving, which is unconditional. Okay, so they write a check and they step back. Now that is exactly what we plan to do with all our, efforts in India. Our principle is twofold. Number one, we do not go to people who come to us. Okay, we seek out, like we sought out Ahmedabad University, we sought out the Indian Institute of Science, the Karunashaya people, or Shankara Cancer Foundation. So we must find them, not the other way around. Second, once we find them, then we would make our resources available, be grateful about them accepting it, and then just walk gently back from that so that we don't get attached to what we are doing. I think it is very important for more and more such things to happen in our country, so that you do not attach conditionalities. Okay. So in many of the examples that you gave, you attach conditionalities, and we have no conditionalities. We find the cause, we find the partner, we make ourselves available as and when they need, and then we just step back.
So next question that I have is more from an industry that you belong to, the tech industry. We are seeing a lot of changes. There's this cusp of innovation that is happening in the tech industry with generative AI and AI in general. Do you see that the Indian companies are at par with their global peers right now? Second fold is about the investment in education. India has always been seen as a place which produces engineers. Do you think with the kind of AI wave that we are seeing, our institutes are fully, at par with their global peers in developing the kind of engineers that the world needs right now?
So I think, first of all, I see a bright future for Indian IT companies, IT services companies, and not just IT or IT services companies, because if you look at artificial intelligence and generative AI, it cuts across everything. So in general, for Indian business organizations across board, not just IT and IT services companies, the tech companies, I think there's a very bright future. There's going to be a lot of disruption, but as and when there have been disruptions at a global level, Indians have this capability to be very strongly opportunistic. They can grab the ball in midair and run with it. So I see the next 15, 20 years for the Indian economy itself to be a global player of significance. It's becoming a reality by the day, every day. Now, we're talking about the second part that you say about will we be able to create globally relevant talent? I think so, yes. However, I think it will do well to step back and say, what is the benchmark? Our institutions, barring a few, are still not global benchmarks. But it is one thing to complain about that. The other thing is to engage. Now, how do you become a global benchmark? I think our institutions, our public institutions, tend to be underfunded in a programmatic manner. You make funds available, but you don't say that here is a large chunk that you want to use for longitudinal study. Here's a large fund that you make available for brain research. Here's a large chunk you make available for child and maternal health. And in doing so, you take what we call, Susmita and I call, the long view of time. Because the big problems of mankind are not ones that get solved in 5 years and 10 years. You need to have a long view of time. So once we create institutions with a long view of time, without conditionalities, with the right kind of global benchmark, there's no reason why India cannot contribute to global well-being through education and research.
My last question to you, Mr. Bagchi, on that is that Mindtree has been your baby. How do you see Mindtree right now after the takeover by LTI? Second part is that we have seen a lot of your co-founders get back into the game with new companies. Will we be able to see you at any given point in time stepping back into the tech atmosphere?
So this is the new company. So, Susmita and I always have seen ourselves as startup people. And when you think of a startup, it doesn't only have to be based on capital ownership. It doesn't have to be based on financial ownership. I think emotional ownership is ownership like no other ownership. So we're very grateful that life has been kind to all my co-founders in Mindtree. Everybody is doing well, everybody has moved on, and everybody is doing things which are relevant and unique and good. So we have chosen to do what we have done. What happened was very coincidentally, both Susmita and I were invited by the government of Odisha to step into public life. And last 8 years, I've actually been doing that, and last 5 years, she has been doing that. So once you step into being public servants, it's a very different ballgame altogether. That world actually, engulfs you in a way that after that it's very difficult to think about, private enterprise. So thank you.
Bagchi, I will ask you the same question because you have seen him as a tech entrepreneur as well, and now as he says that you're very happy being the social servant that you are, how has the life changed, and how do you think it's fulfilling in many manners? Would there be a message to the corporates that are existing right now from your side?
So I wouldn't say anything to the corporates. I would tell what I feel. I'm a writer. So I have always been with Subroto, and I have seen the tech world, the corporate world, and I'm so glad that at this juncture of life we are doing things together, and it's not just about us. We have involved everyone around us. And I can't thank our destiny the way it worked out for us the last 5 years for me and 8 years for Subroto, when I was working with all the schools in Odisha, all the government schools, and it was an eye-opener. Now I cannot even think of him going back to corporate world. Let's see, what more we can do.